All right, guys, welcome back. So let's have a look at Coinbase. So $308 level. What I'm watching from here for the stock. Yes, it had pretty big two large move days where it essentially, with the large volume, it got from 250 all the way to like 308. So a lot of people don't know that Circle, which became an IPO 2 weeks ago, it was in a squeeze mode in the last so ever since it went public. So it's from 64 to 248, and the valuation 53 billion, and a lot of people essentially were pretty much trading Coinbase off that IPO because apparently Coinbase, I don't know details of the deal, how much of the Circle Coinbase owns, but a lot of people are saying that 50% of the profit should go to Coinbase, or Coinbase collects 50% of the profit from them, something like that. I'm not diving into that because I don't care about the fundamental side of the business, because it's super clear how the stock trades to me. And I have talked about this one many times. Even if you go to my Twitter back in 2021, I was doing these polls all over the place where Airbnb came to the market, Palantir, Coinbase, and Robinhood, and I was pretty much speculating that all of these companies would be included in S&P 500 at some point. And then I was also asking people what would you own? And a lot of people went with Palantir, and then Airbnb, and then Coin. So now from this list of last 5 years, these IPOs, only Robinhood is left to join the S&P 500. So last time I talked about this one, the Coinbase, it was sitting essentially right after its S&P inclusion, or right before S&P inclusion, right here off that week of was it May 16th, or what is it, May 19th. On Monday, it started trading in S&P 500, and it was saying that anytime stock gets included into S&P 500, it is not usually a buy signal, and usually you are better off not chasing it. And it essentially did exactly the same thing by chopping around people, and then last 2 days right here, we got a squeeze. Can it keep going higher? This is what a lot of people watching. Well, here's what I'm watching from here now. So we're going to go as far back to the IPO days, where I will show you again. This is the day when it IPO'd. 380 opening price, closed that day at 320 something. And then the low, 310. That IPO day, and ever since it just didn't look back. And I remember, if you just go to my channel, I have talked about this one ever since, and I have even had right around here at $200-$250 levels saying that this is at best $30-$50 stock. And then as fundamentals improved, and I want to show you guys here. So if you just pay attention, when Bitcoin, we're going to put the Bitcoin over this chart as well. Look at this chart price action right here. This is where they were making pretty good money, and then we hit this time where we had a bear market and all that Russia-Ukraine thing, and pretty much Bitcoin started dumping, and not many people had a risk appetite, and this is where it was just consolidating and pretty much doing absolutely nothing. And you can see off their earnings too, those quarters, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quarters, they were reporting negative earnings per share. But this period right here, as Bitcoin started, as overall market started rallying, and as Bitcoin started to push up, I'm going to lay it over soon, this stock started pushing higher too. So it is super, all over the place in terms of their revenue. If you even go take a look at their own quarterly reports, it's just whenever crypto market stays volatile, this is when they make the most money essentially. And I know MicroStrategy holds their Bitcoin and probably uses them as well to buy their coins and all that stuff. But there were a lot of positive news. So they got included because last 4 quarters, they have to be positive earnings per share in order to be included in S&P 500. But this is their revenue. So this stock trades 40 times forward its earnings, and I don't care about that. Okay, so I know it's much higher than average S&P 500 name, right? But this is a tech name essentially. So these names are, the fact that this is trading 40 times forward its earnings, it's not a surprise to me. But what I don't like about this name, they don't have a consistency in terms of like predictability about their earnings. Because can you predict what's going to happen with the Bitcoin in the next like 1 year? So look at their revenue as well. Sure, it has gone up, but anytime it starts downtrending like this, you will know that this stock is about to dump. There are two things I'm going to be watching. So number one, for sure, let's lay over, before we talk about like potential price targets, I just want to quickly lay over the BTC chart over this Coinbase chart. So BTC, boom, this purple line, you can see the BTC. You can see how correlated these two assets make sense, right? One is exchange, another is the asset. It totally makes sense. But what I'm saying is you want to keep a close eye on BTC, what it is going to do. So you can see how it was moving. BTC retraced from its highs of 110K, while Coinbase pushed because of that. They have an interest in Circle. So a bit of a divergence. Okay, sure. Just keep in mind that if BTC starts flushing down, these names move together. Usually catches up. It might just move sideways, chop around, but eventually catches up. And you can see how it correlated it has been ever since it went public. Okay. So another thing I want to share here is, I almost forgot, but let's go back to this. So every time I see Bitcoin, essentially Coinbase, trade at these highs, Insider, let's go to this one. So insiders back in November dumped $500 million worth of shares. It's 550 million. And then in December, 88 million, January, 40 million, February, 28 million. And then as soon as they stopped dumping, look at where March and April, stock was at lows, right? As stock started bouncing in May, they started selling again, right? So they insiders sold 37 million. June so far, we still have more days left, but 16 million so far, 5 trades. But insiders, keep an eye on insiders. So if you see Coinbase run, let's say, we're going to talk about the levels just a second. If let's say Coinbase goes to 320, 350, I don't know how high it can go, but we'll talk about the levels. But if you see at the same time insiders dump like this with a large volume like this, let's say in June, July they start dumping, well, you want to be cautious into going into the volatile times, which is second half of August, September, October, going into that moment. We can see similar price action like this. If Bitcoin rolls over and if you see insiders dump at scale like this, you want to be careful with this name, okay? Chasing, especially if you're a trader. I'm not talking about if you're an investor. Today, the last 2 days when this stock moved higher, 2 large orders came in. Again, these are not like crazy large orders, but these were standing out to me. Number 17, number 14, both were at $500 million. So one came in yesterday at 295, 490 million, and today 503 million at $308 a share. So 1.6 million shares were dumped. I'm assuming that these are profit takers, okay? People taking profit along the way. So now let's take a look at the chart. So if we go back 5 years, again, this stock still hasn't traded above its IPO price, okay, ever since it has gone public. Let's go to weekly chart now. So now this is a weekly chart back from 2021 when it went public. You can see the price action. Goes public and straight down, sideways, comes up, pulls back, comes up, pulls back pretty big. And this rally that we had is 100% move, okay? Just like last time when Bitcoin went crazy after the election, where stock has gone up from 150 to 350. This is when insiders cashed out, and then stock plunged after that all the way, like 60% from this 350. If we just come back down to 350, 60%. So 350, 345, I want to say. So the first resistance would be this area of 310 area. Okay, this is where we are sitting right now, 309. The next area would be 345. This is pretty big level, okay, because this is where a lot of insiders dumped, and also this is pretty decent resistance. This is the highest closing price as well. It has never closed above 346 or 347 or something like that. So I'm watching that level as a pivotal level. If it gets back above that level, sure. Now this area would be a pretty decent area to watch. If it, let's say, trades above 350 and then tests this level, sure, it can push higher. But this stock, as an exchange, it's worth $78 billion right now. Year to date, 24% up. Yes, outperforming a lot of stuff. And a lot of people may be also looking at it as a reverse head and shoulders like this. People may be thinking that this is a shoulder. We have a shoulder right here. And this was, let's say, your neckline. So you would measure this distance from 140 all the way to like 280, 140 bucks. So essentially you would measure from 280 another 140 bucks, and this would be your potential move, right? This is, again, I don't like position myself based on those kinds of technicals. I like to watch linear price action because that's what a lot of people care. Like, what's the price? Where did they buy? So if somebody bought it at 346, they don't care about your head and shoulders. If they're down 10, 20%, that's what they care about. They're down. So that's why I'm watching this name cautiously to the upside, because I don't want to get too optimistic if this stock just starts like going back to this shenanigan mode and start just chopping and killing premium and do absolutely nothing up until they report earnings. So let's see what's going to happen, but they're not reporting earnings up until like August. So option expiration just happened, which is June 20th. Now till July, we will see if volatility VIX picks up. You got to be careful with these names because VIX is at 20 hovering around. This is not a good sign, and not a good sign for risky names in general, and pretty much highly like stocks that trade with pretty high price to earnings forward ratio. So, but again, it is looking interesting, that's for sure. But again, there's not much of a reward, in my opinion, to chase in a sense that like, oh, I have to own it at this price. So the risk is all the way to this 200-day moving average, which is at the moment is the 200-day moving average, I want to say. I would put it right down there. And then this breakout area. So let's see how it acts at this area. So as long as it trades above this S&P 500 inclusion area of 270, yeah, it could look good. So if it, even if it just, let's say, comes down, tests this 270, and then tries to break this 310, 320, whatever the resistance we have right here, sure, it can still be bullish. But so far, yeah, I'm cautiously bullish and at the same time neutral. I don't have a position in this stock. So also keep an eye on what's going to happen with Circle, okay? Circle Internet Group. So that's my update for Coinbase. Can it push towards 350? Let's see. But that's the update. I'm not going to talk about the option activity on this one because, I mean, most of the flows were already known like yesterday when it started pushing I tried to chase it, but I couldn't get filled on that one. But a lot of people were playing short dated, which expired today, most of the calls. Some probably executed, some probably assigned, some probably sold. But let's see what happens next week. If more calls start coming in, sure, that means people believe that it can push higher, and I would be watching it to the upside. But again, this video is not a buy or sell recommendation. This is purely for entertainment and education purposes only. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.